If you were to say one drone that really brought drone filming to the masses, be it photography or filming, you're probably going to think of the same model as I'm thinking right now, and that is the DJI Mavic Pro. Now fast forward 2 years, we've got two new models of this really popular drone. We've got the Mavic 2 Zoom and we've got the Mavic 2 Pro. I always get mixed up between the 2 and the Pro based on the first model. But anyway, I've got this new model here with me today. I've got it for a few days to play with. I brought it here to the rather windy, I'm sure you can hear it, Peak District. You know, it's very, very overcast, it's very windy. You know, if it rains, then I've got a real experience of the northern weather, so hopefully it doesn't, it holds off so I can take this thing out. Basically, I just want to see how it handles, see what's new, and look at the image quality of this thing. But before we do anyway, before I take it up for that first flight, let's first have a closer look at the drone itself. The Mavic 2's body looks pretty similar to the original Mavic Pro. We've still got those extendable arms that house the 4 motors and removable propellers. We've got a single micro SD card slot on the side, but we've also got a new USB-C port if you prefer to transfer your shots directly from the drone, and of which it's now got 8 gig of storage built in, so if you forget your SD cards when you go out for your next flight, at least you can get a couple of shots before you run out of space. There's a newly refreshed battery, giving a slightly increased flight time of 31 minutes, but there's something to note that this battery isn't compatible with the chargers from the older Mavic Pro. There are now more sensors on the body, allowing for full 360-degree obstacle sensing and avoiding. That should hopefully stop you from crashing a drone and making a fool of yourself in front of your friends. Remember, the original model could only see in front or directly below. This one now sees everywhere, and really what it's all about. At the front we have that 20 megapixel 1-inch CMOS Hasselblad camera mounted on a 3-axis gimbal. Right, so I've got the drone all powered up. There's absolutely no one about. It's pretty deserted, this area, as you can see from behind me. It's literally just absolute nothing all the way around. The only thing I'm concerned about is the amount of wind, because it is crazy windy up here. So I'll be impressed if this drone can actually function and manage okay whilst we're flying it out here. It'll be a good test to see just how much you can chuck at this thing before you're going to get into some issues. Anyway, let's take it up and have a look at the footage. Now the headline recording spec of the Mavic 2 Pro is of course its 10-bit 4K recording capabilities, and combined with DJI's flat picture profile, D-Log-M, or even hybrid log gamma, you'll have up to a rather impressive 14 stops of dynamic range. In 4K, you can go up to 30 frames a second, which I think is perfectly fine for my needs, but should you want to, you can drop down to 2.7K for 60 frames a second, or HD for 120. I found myself shooting mostly at normal speed 4K, as I think the image it creates is generally pretty pleasing, especially since we've had a jump up in bitrate from the pretty low 60 megabits per second that was found in the original to now 100 megabits per second in the Mavic 2 Pro. Now, a very welcome improvement is the glass in front of that 1-inch sensor. It's an f2.8 to f11 28mm lens, and yes, that now means you can actually change the aperture as opposed to the original where you were just stuck wide open all the time. In my time shooting with the Mavic 2 Pro, I actually found I was able to keep my 180-degree shutter whilst exposing the scene correctly without the need of an additional ND filter on nearly all of my flights. This really is an amazing upgrade. You have more control over your image, and it makes capturing footage that doesn't look super sharp and super digital much easier without the ND filters. And of course now you've also got control over the depth of field in your image as well, whether you want to try and make it look a bit more shallow if you've got something in your foreground, or if you're looking at a long sweeping landscape and you want everything to be in focus, so you'd pick a higher aperture. The controller has also had a refresh, making the joysticks removable, much like what we saw on the Mavic Air's controller. So no more broken controllers when you're trying to stuff it in your backpack. Those things did stick out. The transmission system has also been upgraded. We've got OcuSync 2.0, which is now capable of transmitting up to 8 kilometers in full 1080p, with a latency of just 120 milliseconds. So you can fly even further than before, and of course you're actually able to see what you're doing. But just because you can, doesn't mean that you should. Remember guys, there is a drone code. Do fly responsibly. In terms of stills, you've got the ability of taking 20 megapixel raw images, a huge increase on the 12 megapixel images on the original. Now, I didn't actually take that many stills when I was flying the drone, as I only had one battery and, the filmmaker inside of me finds it hard to switch to photography mode when time is of the essence. But those that I did take, I was pretty impressed with. I think one of the main reasons why DJI drones and the rest of their products are, so successful is because they're just so easy to use. With the Mavic 2 Pro, you've got all of those intelligent features to help you get various dynamic shots safely and with ease. All of the same automatic quick shots that we saw in the Mavic Air are also in the Pro, and some of course are better than others, but I suppose that's pretty subjective. A new addition, however, is the hyperlapse mode. You simply select the intervals for the pictures, how long you want the video to be, and the course of flight, and away you go. And finally, if you're looking to film something that's fast moving, like a horse race, a car race, dogs race, I don't know why these are all racing analogies, but I don't know what you get up to, something that's moving quick. If you need to film it, you can switch it over into sport mode, and then the drone can travel up to a speed of 45 miles an hour. Now that's pretty quick for a tiny little drone. So my time shooting with the Mavic 2 Pro is up. I've absolutely loved using this thing. It's super easy to fly. It's super compact as well. Obviously it's not as compact as the Mavic Air, but I've just been trekking around the Peak District today and this has just been going in my bag along with a tripod, a camera, a GoPro. You can't really feel the weight compared to all the other stuff that you're normally carrying. And also, even though it's such a small body, you've got all those intelligent features packed in there, all those sensors that are going to stop you from smashing into a wall. But you've also got the software-based things where it's going to give you sort of the quick shots. So if you're just on your own and you want to quickly get a cinematic movement, you can do. But I mean, at the heart of it, the real big thing is that 1-inch Hasselblad sensor. This thing is a beast to have on the drone this size, To get a 1-inch sensor, you'd normally have to go to the Phantom range. But having this in the Mavic range, this sort of size, wow, it's really powerful stuff. 10-bit 4K. And something this size is just going to make life so much easier when you come to edit this footage with your A-camera footage on the ground, unless all you're shooting is aerial stuff. But anyway, I've absolutely loved shooting with this thing. The weather for me today in the Peak District has been somewhat a bit bleak, so sorry that the skies aren't, that really nice blue. They're just that big old blanket of white instead. If you've got any questions about the drone, then do pop them in the comments or go into wex.co.uk to find out more. And if you haven't done so already, make sure you hit that subscribe button to stay up to date with all our news and future content. Thank you very much for watching.